Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this exciting session on how we can reform the way we assess the research. So, reforming the research assessment is one of the priorities well embedded in the new European research area, is one of the actions of the European research area, and it's something that we consider is appropriate and necessary in order to make our research more impactful, to deliver results that matters for the citizens and that makes a difference, and will help us to make Europe a leadership on research and innovation. So, we have discussed a lot about the way that the current system rewards the researchers and the research organization. And we realized that this is not the way to incentivize researchers to make a step further, to think about society and contribute to society. Changes are needed to ensure a culture that values variety of outputs and practices that maximize quality and impact, that values collaboration and openness, and where social engagement leads to greater impact and trust in science. This is why over the last 9 months, hundreds of research organizations have contributed to draft an agreement on reforming research assessment. This is an agreement which sets a common direction for changes in assessment practices. And today, we are ready to discuss the vision behind this agreement, how it will contribute to improve quality and impact of research, and why it is important that research organizations work together to develop and implement the necessary changes. A very much policy approach supported by bottom-up approach. So, I'm extremely happy to have with us today our Commissioner, Maria Gabriel, Commissioner for Research, Innovation, Education, Culture and Youth, the Commissioner who launched the new European research area with all the actions, including the research assessment reform. Then we have with us the Minister, Sylvie Retailleau, the French Minister for Higher Education and Research, Paul Boyle, the Vice President of the European University Association, and last but not least, Lydia Borrell, the Secretary General of Science Europe. I would like to start, first of all, with you, dear Minister. During the first presidency, you have been very instrumental on pushing the agenda for research assessment, of reform of research assessment. We had the Paris call, we have Council conclusions, a lot has been done politically under the French presidency. So my question to you is, what are your views and how we can make a difference through this very challenging agenda of research assessment?
Hello, so thank you very much, and dear Commissioner Maria Gabriel, and dear Vice President Paul Boyle, dear President, and dear colleagues and participants. So first, I'm very delighted to be taking part today in this plenary session of the European Initiative on reforming research evaluation. And I'm especially pleased to be here because I feel that this is a game changer for the whole of the European research area. And so, as you say, we are working towards high quality research at European level. And this means first, maybe changing the way research is evaluated to adopt a more qualitative approach. Maybe second, taking greater account of open science practices and more broadly. And third, valuing all activities carried out by researchers today. And so we have to acknowledge the diversity of scientific production beyond publication. And I'm thinking in particular of data and software, but also, and it's a particular point, of negative results, for example. And this implies freeing ourselves from purely quantitative indicators, such as the impact factor or the H index, and which have many drawbacks and sometimes distances us from the issues at stake in science. And so this reform, therefore, makes sense because it pursues a major objective, that of making research in European more open, more diversified, and with more impact. In other words, yes, a research of excellence. And so the fact that this initiative to reform research evaluation assessment is being carried out at the European level is certainly significant. It shows that the European research area is becoming a reality for both researchers and also institutions. And so this European research area, which we have revamped over recent months, is already demonstrating its first successes and is gradually becoming a real knowledge market. So it is also highly symbolic that the coalition agreement to be signed by all stakeholders who wish to work on reforming their evaluation process was written in a bottom-up manner. So drawing directly on the expertise of stakeholders in the drafting process means that the agreement has been adapted for all, which will undoubtedly increase stakeholder ownership of this initiative. I would like, therefore, to warmly commend the work of the drafting trio, the core group, and all those who have been involved over these months in the co-creation of this fundamental document. And I am so very pleased to see that many French organizations, such as the CNRS, or also our national authority in charge of evaluating whole higher education and research, both took part in the work of the core group who supported the trio of writers. It gives me equal pleasure to note that France is now, with 33 institutions, the country with the largest number of organizations interested in joining the coalition of the willing. This is, I think, as a direct result of our open science policy efforts. And really, open science, it's at the heart of French priorities in the field of research, but also innovation, and has been for a number of years. In July 2021, we launched our second national plan for open science, and which aims to place French research at the heart of the global movement for open science, taking open science into account also in the evaluation of research is really an important dimension of this national plan. So in this context, we are working to identify existing regulatory obstacles and the actions required to remove them. And as you know, open science was also one of the priorities of the French presidency of the Council of the European Union during the first half of 2022. And the European Open Science Days, held on 4 and 5 February at the Academy of Sciences, with the support of the French presidency, brought together some 1,800 participants, showing the support of the research community for a more quality-oriented evaluation. And indeed, the Paris Call of Research Evaluation, launched at this event, invited stakeholders who wish to reflect on fairer and less quantitative evaluation methods to better promote the quality of research to form a coalition. To echo to the Paris Call address to stakeholders, we also wanted the Council to address the topic. And the conclusions of the implementation of open science adopted at the Competitiveness Council on 10 June include a session on reforming research assessment. And so we felt it was essential to reaffirm the importance of the role played by the national authorities in promoting the development among the national stakeholders and in supporting the dynamic of change led by the research and innovation institutions. And in this respect, I welcome the fact that 22 member states, including France, have committed to Action 3 of the European Research Areas Policy Agenda. This is a major signal for that we wish to provide proactive support to the stakeholders and work to remove the difficulties they face. I am aware of the scale and also difficulties of the task we have to carry out, but the evolution of our evaluation system, whether for projects, researchers, and or institutions, is really a fundamental issue that deserves our collective attention. And this transition will take time because it involves a systemic change and implies putting the entire scientific community in motion. Let's not see that it has a waste of time, but as the time needed to create the conditions to guarantee the excellence of research and also the promotion of work to establish these new practices over time and ultimately to make open science the principle by default. So as we all know, the establishment of a single market for knowledge at European level can only be achieved through an ambitious open science policy in all its dimensions, and thanks to the contribution of everyone at their own level. So this is why, as a conclusion, I would like to invite all those who have already spread their interest, and indeed all those who wish to commit themselves to high-quality research, to become fully involved in this coalition and with all in the research area. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Minister. Indeed, an invitation to everybody to join the coalition and everybody to sign the agreement. Today we are going to launch the platform where everybody can read and sign the agreement. But before that, ERA, the new European research area, has in its heart the researcher. It is for the researcher. That's why I would like to invite all of you to watch a very short video where we can see two researchers, Noemi and Thomas, that have been deeply involved in the drafting of this agreement. Let us see what they are telling us.
Believe it or not, no one ever decided that the way we currently evaluate research is ideal or even desirable. We've just ended up with this dysfunctional system. This agreement is the first real chance for the research community to reclaim control of research assessment and to decide for ourselves how we wish to evaluate and reward research and researchers. So let us just come together and take this chance and make this reform reality.
This agreement is very important, in my opinion. It's putting a lot of organization, a lot of different stakeholders together. And I think by signing the agreement, you make a statement. So you make a statement that you actually care about research, that you care also about researchers and the people who perform research. But the agreement also goes beyond just making a statement. And I think this is the great strength of this agreement. It goes into action. And by signing the agreement, you join a coalition of people who will help one another, who will build in mutual learning to actually put their commitments into action.
Very good. So the agreement is beyond a statement, put us in the center of action, and we are ready to take this action. So I would like now to ask Paul, Vice President of European University Association. Paul, what is the views of universities and how do you see that this agreement make the universities put in action this new reform system?
Well, thank you very much indeed for inviting me along to this session. I'm very pleased to be speaking on behalf of the European University Association about what I think is an impressive reform If you look back, the EUA put together its strategic vision relatively recently, and that's a vision that points us towards 2030. It's called Universities Without Walls. And within that vision, we made it very clear that we were committed to a broad discussion around reforming the way that we understand academic careers. So a strategic priority for us then is that we want to look at the varying practices of how we assess the ability, the performance, and the way that our academic colleagues are interacting. And this is important both across nations, that we have an understanding of the variations that exist, but also within nations and between institutions. We've therefore been very happy to join this initiative, which of course was triggered and facilitated by the European Commission. This initiative, of course, focuses rightly to a degree on assessing the research element of academics' careers. But of course, as an association that is responsible for universities and indeed all of the academics that work there, we're really interested not just on assessing how research is understood, but also on the various other activities that our academic colleagues may be involved in. They may include teaching and learning, innovation and impact, public and civic engagement. So we see the research assessment as a really core element of academic conduct, but there are also, of course, other activities that we want to make sure we are assessing competently, so that we're fair to our academic colleagues and we make sure that as a set of organizations, we're performing as well as possible. Universities, of course, are central actors in all of this. We play a significant role in not only appointing academics, promoting academics, but potentially being involved in funding agreements, or even prizes and awards. And all of these require assessment. They all require us to be able to somehow assess the performance of our colleagues in a robust and reasonable way. And we're very conscious that some of the systems that are currently used, some of the practices that are used by different institutions vary in this regard, and to differing degrees often rely on metrics. They may be journal or publication-based metrics. And of course, this introduces biases and distortions if we only rely on those rather bold metrics. We recognize, of course, that citation and other data are not collected for the purpose of assessing research careers. They're collected for very different purposes. Now, they may be helpful, they give us some guidance, they give us some signs, but we have to have a system that is much broader than that, a system that understands the breadth of activity that our colleagues are involved in, and also the breadth of achievements that they may aspire to. So we're thinking about this in a sense, I suppose, from a more cultural point of view. We're trying to improve the academic culture. The way that we assess and understand each other is not just about ticking boxes, it's about the culture of working and the way that institutions work within that culture. So we believe there's an awful lot of work to be done. And of course, a really positive step is the step that's been taken by the Commission, of course, alongside other partners. We know all about DORA, Spark Europe, and we've collected, I think, as part of this process, a range of stories of innovation and changes that could be used to think about how we measure academic careers in different ways. So that work by the Commission will add to this broader global approach. And it really is a global approach that's required because, of course, we all know that our academic colleagues are extremely mobile and need to be respected and understood across different parts of the globe in different systems. EUA has played a central role in this. We've kept all of our members informed. Over 800 universities are part of the European University Association. We've run a series of workshops to engage with our colleagues across these institutions, to involve them, to help them understand what this initiative is all about. And we know, as we've just heard, in France and in other parts of Europe, many organizations have signed up to this initiative, or are at least willing to as soon as it becomes possible. They've already indicated their willingness. So we're really pleased to see that activity. And I should say that our next meeting of the Council of the European Universities Association, we will be deciding whether or not the EUA should also, as a broad organization, sign up. And we'll be discussing that in our autumn meeting very, very soon. A critical point, of course, is that we can't, as universities in Europe, solve this problem alone. We are a major player and we need to take a real lead in this initiative, but we also have to rely on our partners across the world for this to have real impact. Together, we are much stronger, both in starting and kicking off this process, and importantly, in addressing any future challenges that come along. So I too would also just like to thank those that were involved in the drafting team, the 20 or so organizations in the core group. And I think there have been over 350 organizations from more than 40 countries in the stakeholder assembly. So there's been a wide amount of engagement in listening. And I think all of that has come together in what I hope will be a document that many people are willing to sign and many organizations will see a real need for. So from EUA's point of view, a really important initiative and one that slots in very neatly to the work that we're doing, not just around research assessment, but also around the broader academic career more generally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. So, a universities without walls, your vision, where research assessment or a new way of assess research is fundamental. And a close collaboration across Europe and a buy-in for European organization. And probably we have to see whether internationally we can export this policy outside the Europe. Lydia, you have been, together with Mark and Science Europe, one of the key actors in the preparation of the whole agreement. So what are your views? Why for funders is important to make this step forward?
Thank you very much, Anna. Good afternoon, Commissioner Gabriel. Thank you very much for your invitation to Science Europe to be in this session. First of all, I have to send an apology on behalf of Mark Shields, because he has been unfortunately retained in hospital for a minor health issue. So apologies on his behalf, who is the person who should be here. Apart from that, I am very pleased to address the audience and to let you know that we are extremely happy to have been an integral part of this development. I'm speaking on behalf of research funding organizations at national level, but also on behalf of research performing organizations, which is, I think, a very added value in this situation, because we need a strong dialogue between research and funding organizations. I think well, it is very well known that research assessment is a core activity in both research funding and research performing organizations, as there are funding allocations and career progressions assessments, etc. So for this reason, research assessment has been a long priority for Science Europe since it was established 11 years ago. More closely, we initiated a study among Science Europe members analyzing the research assessment systems precisely to identify the caveats of the systems and the advantages of the systems. Not everything is wrong in the current system, but certainly there is a lot of modifications to be made to adapt the systems in the current context. First of all, I would like to recall the joint statement that Science Europe and EUA published together in 2019. This was, in fact, a start of our respective journeys that led us to this reform initiative, because back then, both organizations committed to deepen onto the research assessment processes among the respective memberships. And that was what we have done. We did a study at that time I was working at EUA. We initiated a study among the universities. Almost in parallel, Science Europe initiated a study in Science Europe, and we gained a lot of knowledge from our respective membership. So it has been a pleasure to work with the colleagues at EUA and at the Commission. It's been very hard work since January this year, and we are very proud to have been part of the drafting of this important agreement on reforming research assessment. This agreement is very ambitious because it aims at a transformation of a system, of a research, the way research is assessed. That is a very easy series of keywords, but very difficult to achieve. However, I think that the agreement sets a shared direction for changes in assessment practices for researchers and research performing organizations. The main goal is to broaden the diversity of the recognized research outputs and activities, maximizing the quality of impact of research. So that is an absolute must. No compromises on research quality. And it is this systemic dimension that makes the project so demanding, so exciting. And we are ready to take up the challenge and continue to be involved in what is going to be this new collaboration under the framework of the reform of the research assessment. As the project says, well, as the agreement says, is now time to take advantage of this momentum and turn it into action. We will do this with the establishment of the coalition of those organizations willing to commit to the reform. And it is through this shared platform with many different stakeholder perspectives that we will bring it together and will create the conditions for the changes that we believe need to happen through the sharing of good practices, mutual support, learning from those that are already more advanced, and see how we can make a research better and a better place for the current researchers, and very importantly for the young researchers. We have seen to witness Paul's talk, and to give them hope to the new generations, offering them a research system that is open within the academic standards, of course, but is open and ready to recognize all brilliant contributions from the researchers. At Science Europe, we of course are fully in support of this initiative. We actually are very proud to announce that we are an early signatory, and we look forward to continue to co-create the reform. And we hope that many organizations of different types will join, not only from Europe and globally. As Paul said, we had 350 plus organizations, but not only from Europe. We had at least some 60 among all of them, and we hope that they will also come on board, and hopefully others as well. So we are ready to take up the challenge and ready to work hard with all the universities and research funding and performing organizations to make this reform a reality. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Lydia. And I mean, let's make our European research area a better place for researchers, for young researchers. And it is a great co-creation exercise, but I have to say, dear Commissioner Gabriel, when we were preparing the European research area communication, you knew that this is going to be a difficult objective. You knew that it's going to be a game changer, but difficult to put in place. And you dare to do it. So, what are your views? How you feel after 1 year of the ERA policy agenda? We are there with an agreement prepared, bottom-up co-creation.
Thank you, Anna. Dear Minister, cher Sylvie, dear Paul, and distinguished panelists. Well, listening to you, that was, dear Anna, exactly this thought. What a journey. Because remember, when we started first to raise this topic, we were all aware that that's complicated, it's difficult, there is a lot of considerations to take into account, but at the same time, yes, we dared. And look, in only months and year where we are. So for that, I would like first to say thank you very much for your strong support. But maybe I will be a little bit more provocative now at the beginning, and I would like just here to call those that are not so much strong supporters, and I would like just to tell them, think again about several reasons why we initiated this coalition, why we would like to have this agreement, why we would like to have action now. I think that there is at least 6 reasons. First, let's look around how science and the way researchers work evolves, responding to new technology, new collaboration opportunities, and to growing complexity. All these calling for multidisciplinary work. Second, very often we all talk about citizens, but citizens, after especially the COVID-19 pandemic, are more attentive to science and expectations legitimately grow. Third, it is not easy to communicate science beyond the research community, and this can generate lack of trust in our society. Fourth, with advanced digital connections, high-performance computing infrastructures, researchers now have the possibility to engage in peer exchanges faster and sharing research outputs that are very different, including datasets, software, algorithms, protocols. 5, multidisciplinary collaborations require new skills in the boundaries of scientific areas and more consideration to how the different competencies and activities articulate in research teams. And finally, yes, peer scrutiny continues to be the essence of the scientific dialogue, ensuring quality and trust. I said 6 reasons, but I would like here to add one more that I consider essential. Science is an integral part of our society, of our systems of knowledge creation and dissemination. And science carries about important values of the European culture, such as dialogue, freedom, solidarity, respect of others' views. And that's why, for me, science here has a particularly important role to play, because, as you already said it, it's not only for our researchers that are active now, it's for our young and next generations. So I think that, again, those that are not so strong supporters at the moment, please reconsider again all these reasons, look around you, and you can see how much we are simply not future-oriented. We are living with our time, and we would like to adapt the conditions to our researchers in order, together with them, to transform the European research area into this beautiful environment where our researchers can thrive and can see their careers prosper. But of course, what I'd like here to say, and again, to reassure those that are not so much in favor, that's a shared responsibility. We are aware that if you'd like to go further, to make some next steps, of course, we need to continue to have this shared responsibility. All this in respect of the autonomy of our research organizations. And somehow what I can see that today we have the result of an exercise of consensus. Because very often we are using this word, but when the time is coming to show this into action, very often it's something different. So yes, I think that we need to continue this exercise of consensus where we can move towards a system that recognizes the diversity of outputs, practices, activities, that does not compromise ethics and integrity, and at the same time that help us to maximize the quality of research and resulting impacts. And yes, I think that that is particularly important for young researchers, as we need to promote more sustainable and attractive research working environments to reduce sometimes excessive competition and to provide simply to provide more opportunities to multiple talents and diverse career paths. So yes, I think that today it's a very important day because you all have shown to us that co-creation, that's not an empty word, that's a co-creation process on which we'll continue to be together. Of course, what we achieved with the co-creation process is that this common vision and shared direction this time is in something very concrete, with what is now a call for collective action. So that's how I see the development since our first discussions, dear Anna, when we started with the new European research area, identifying the priorities. So we can see that step by step in a co-creation process with shared responsibility, with common vision, and now with call for collective action, we can achieve step by step a critical mass. That's what we need now, a critical mass of people, organizations, researchers, universities, with whom we can together reaffirm our values, give more hope to our young researchers, and at the same time, yes, with those that are already involved, to transform the European research area into this vibrant and dynamic place in which we firmly believe.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and quite on you that you drive this exercise in the context of the coalition and attracting everybody to join us. But let's see where we are with that. I would like to show you a few slides, and what I would like to show you in the slides is to inaugurate, I hope from the control you can show the slides, the new platform that we have established, the COARA, so the Coalition for Advancing Research Assessment. What is this platform? So you are all invited to go through the pages of the platform and to know more about the agreement, to read the agreement that has been prepared in such an inclusive way with research organizations, researchers, the European Commission services across Europe. So the agreement is there. You will be informed about what it entails, and then you will know about the next step, the coalition of willingness, what we expect to do in order to put in action this agreement. And even more, you have the fantastic button that as from today, you will be able to sign this agreement. So the Commissioner invited all of you to take a look at this and to be part of this exercise. All the distinguished speakers, they invited you, all of you, to work with them, to continue this fantastic work that has been started the last month. And then it's very simple, because you can go and sign in this website the agreement. And if you do that, you will be part of already 51 organizations that they have expressed their interest to sign this agreement. So it's not yet done, but they have expressed their interest and they were ready to do it as from today. And if you look closely to the logos that we have on this site, you may see that we have great organizations across Europe, universities, research infrastructures, research organizations, associations of funders, associations of universities, associations of researchers ready to sign. And of course, this is the beauty of this exercise. So it's inclusive, and it is co-created because it matters for everybody. So the message to all of you is please follow, please sign, please work. We have still a few minutes, and I would like to have a second round of discussions around this table. And maybe starting with Paul. Paul, you said that you are going to have your assembly where you are going to discuss whether EUA could sign as an association this agreement. You heard our commissioner here, we need to convince the others. What we can do in order to convince those that they don't want to follow?
I think the initiative is an extremely important one. It's one that the European Universities Association, as I said earlier, has been reflecting on for some time. And as a result of that, I think it's particularly timely. It's come at the right moment. And it gives an opportunity for people to sit back and reflect. I think it's a balanced document as well. It's not looking at radical change for the sake of it. It's looking carefully at how we might assess researcher performance in the future in a way that understands that metrics will always form some part of people's judgments, but there is far more that we also have to take into account. So I think for those that are considering this, it's well worth a look. I think, as I've said already, we will be considering that at our autumn meeting, where we have our council, our highest body of the European University Association, will be discussing whether this is something that they feel they can sign up to. And of course, a number of the universities that are within the European University Association have already shown willingness to sign this document. So my view is it's simply a matter of sitting back, reading it carefully, making the decision about whether a change in this area is required. There is no question that we have varying performance at the moment in relation to this. Some universities actually take this sort of thing extremely seriously and have very good practices across Europe. There are others that are perhaps a little bit further behind. So I'm very keen that one of the roles of a body like ours, a European Universities Association, is to do our very best in sharing best practice. How do we bring all universities up to the level that some of our universities have already reached? this is one of the areas that I think we can try and do that in, and I'm looking forward to the debate that we'll be having very soon.
Thank you so much, Paul. Lydia, from Science Europe side. So how you see the next steps? You have been very instrumental also in the Coalition S. Now this is another kind of coalition for willingness. What are the next steps? What we need to do?
Well, the next steps is basically every organization, as we are saying here, every organization needs to reflect on the agreement. And I invite all organizations to do it, whether they like it more or less. I invite them to share the agreement widely within the researchers in their association, in their organizations, and spark a discussion at departmental level or institutional level. Really talk to researchers and talk to all researchers, more established, young researchers, etc. Because it is only through dialogue that we will achieve, first of all, this co-creation that we are all aiming at, but also the a productive new system or new systems. Because let's remind us all, this is not about generating the next metrics or the next new system. It's about generating the best assessment systems for the research that is produced today in our current contexts. So it's not one size fits all, is to find the best system for making the best research. So I think that a first action by organizations that are considering joining the coalition is precisely to find out the reasons, as the Commissioner has suggested. And then those that are already ready to sign, you have seen that there are already 51, and we know there are more in the pipeline that are just waiting for the boards to meet and decide. Then establish the right internal consultation processes to bring forward all the information that they gather so that we can put it and share it within COARA and make a good use of this.
Thank you very much. Dear Minister, you did a great job during the French presidency. How you expect the member states to contribute to this?
So thank you. Yes, I think how do we expect all the stakeholders to contribute for the co-creation, because it's very important, this co-creation process. And I think that we need a critical mass, and I really agree with Maria Gabriel, because we need a critical mass to change really this European research area and to change and to share the good practices. And I think that we need it for research, but we need it also for innovation and for education. And I think that it's very important to share science with society also, because I think all these values and the research more fair and open, I think that it's a key for our future and to solve and to propose future solutions for the different issues that we have today. And so I think that it's very important that I invite again all those who wish to commit themselves to high quality research to become fully involved in this coalition and to share the different for different disciplines and different community. And I think that it's very important to participate and all the stakeholders to think about the advantages of this policy and of the open science policy.
Thank you so much. And a last word from your side, dear Commissioner.
Well, that will be only one sentence. I think that what we need today is to say clearly, share, discuss, think about your researchers. Don't hesitate to lead by example, and for that, you need to act. We'll be there to support you.
Great. Thank you very much for following this excellent session, and many thanks to the speakers.
Thank you.
Dear all, it is my pleasure to welcome you today for the last session of the day, but not the least, where we will be launching the preparations for the Horizon Europe Strategic Plan 2025-2027. The strategic plan is a novelty of Horizon Europe. It is the key strategic document that is guiding us in programming the Horizon Europe work programs. Like its predecessor, the first strategic plan 21-24, we will be co-designing and co-creating this strategic plan with citizens, with stakeholders, and we will be discussing that extensively along the next few months with the Parliament and with the Council. So today we will have three top-level speakers representing the three institutions, with first Maria Gabriel, our commissioner responsible for innovation, research, culture, education and youth. We will have also Christian Bouchoy, who is member of the European Parliament and chair of the Committee on Industry, Research and Energy. And we will have Radka Wildová, who is Deputy Minister for Higher Education, Science and Research in the Czech Republic, currently holding the presidency. So in addition, we ran a survey online already to have a few hints at what is important for citizens and stakeholders for the next few years of our research program, and we will be presenting that to you in a few minutes. So thanks a lot to all of those who have submitted feedback already. Before I start the discussion with our three prominent speakers, I would like to ask you, Commissioner, your opinion and a short introduction on the strategic plan. Madame la Commissaire, vous avez la parole.
Thank you, Julien. Well, I fear that my introduction will be not so brief because this topic is very, very important. But first of all, allow me to say hello to our distinguished speakers, dear Deputy Minister, dear Chair of ITRE Committee, dear Christian, dear Research Innovation Community, dear friends. First of all, I think that this moment is particularly important because that's this moment that will mark the start of the process to define our strategic research and innovation priorities for the period 2025-2027. And yes, I think that first in the troubled and fast-changing scenarios around us, it may sound premature to talk about priorities that are still 3 years ahead. But there are good reasons for it, and I take this opportunity to highlight the importance of what we call the strategic plan in the context of the Horizon Europe program. You know, yes, we have the world's largest research and innovation program, both in volume, 95 billion euros, and duration, 7 years, giving Europe an important financial stability to all stakeholders. Stability does not mean standing still, and on the contrary, we need to keep high flexibility to adapt to new circumstances. And this is even more true given the need to use all our instruments and talents to bring the most updated ideas and engage in state-of-the-art research and innovation. And that is the main essence of the Horizon Europe strategic planning exercise. It is to allow us to question if we are still doing the right things and if our priorities are still the relevant ones. So this is an exercise encompassing the whole program, but the focus is on the part where we orient the research and innovation activities towards a social and economic impact. Of course, the parts dedicated to fundamental research and bottom-up entrepreneurship are part of the reflection and have a lot to gain with this exercise. The other important part of the strategic planning exercise is related with the methodology that promotes a cross-cutting dialogue with the research community, with stakeholders, and with citizens. And this is the second experience of a more open, participative, and inclusive way to define to define our research innovation priorities, in particular those that are meant to have an impact on all of us. Now you remember the first Horizon Europe strategic plan covered the first 4 years of the program, and that was guiding the continent of Horizon Europe work for 21, 22, and 23, 24. It is therefore the second time we run this exercise to discuss the strategic orientations, ensuring that our common European policy priorities benefit from new knowledge, ideas, and innovation. On the one hand, since we do not start from scratch, we can look back at the main features of the predecessor, but on the other hand, this is an opportunity to revise by dropping or by adding new priorities, promoting an open strategic autonomy, restoring Europe's ecosystems and biodiversity, boosting digitally enabled circular, climate-neutral and sustainable economy, and creating a more resilient, inclusive and democratic European society remain, for me, of key relevance. So what I can ask today is definitely to ask your full engagement, to look deep into what is happening around us, what is changing, such as food or energy security, the geopolitical context, and to provide us your ideas on how we could shape priorities with a strong support from research and innovation. So yes, you said it already, Julienne, but the plan, the strategic plan, and for me that's very important, will be developed as an inclusive and interactive process between the Commission services, Member States, the European Parliament, stakeholders and citizens. And yes, I think that we are all aware that we are facing two fundamental transitions, the green and the digital, but for sure we need to see how the research innovation projects funded by Horizon Europe will bring groundbreaking solutions, new scientific knowledge, and all this will help us with our transformation to sustainability, the key word of this 4th edition. So yes, I think that if you'd like to succeed, we need to make sure that knowledge is shared, that the solutions are used in society where they are needed. And that's why, yes, we need here to listen to you how we can reinforce this ambition with different channels. And of course, I'm thinking here about making open access to the default of Horizon Europe or through our results platform, continue to build on synergies. For sure, we need to continue to work on this. But yes, all this, we need really to look into detail and to see how we can improve things together. So I think that it's very clear. We are here to listen to you, and I'm saying that to our participants in the panel, but especially to those that are listening to you. And this day it's an important one because for us, that's not a top-down approach, that's a co-creation exercise, and only together we can be sure that the new strategic planning is reflecting adequately our reality on the ground, our ambitions, and our vision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, for setting the background for the strategic plan, for also reminding us of the geopolitical context, of the policy priorities of the Union. So now let's look a little bit at what our stakeholders and citizens are starting to tell us through this first survey that we did. We asked respondents about the main challenges that Horizon Europe should focus on for this second half of the period. Respondents could choose between 6 priorities that you see on the screen, and perhaps no surprise, the green transition remains by far the #1 concern of our citizens and stakeholders, and where they see that research and innovation can really make a difference and bring a contribution. Then we have a lot of respondents also underlining the importance of research and innovation contributing to resilience health systems. It's not a surprise after the COVID crisis that we went through. And the digital transition is also among the top 3. So I would like to thank a lot the respondents to our survey. There were more than 150 replies. And you see also that strategic autonomy, security, resilient energy production and provision, and resilient food productions were among the concerns. We also asked respondents whether there were other priorities that they saw as important for guiding our work in the strategic plan. You see them on the screen now. Education, Mrs. Commissioner, also in your portfolio, animal health, rural development, democratic change, and a few other priorities were highlighted by the respondents. So now that we see a bit this background, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Bușoi, member of the European Parliament and chair of the ITRE committee. Mr. Bușoi, what do you see as the main challenges that Horizon Europe should address through its strategic planning over the next 3 years, from your point of view, from the point of view of the Parliament?
Good evening. Thank you so much, honored panelists and guests. Dear Commissioner, dear Maria, dear Minister, it is an honor to me to be here today at the Research and Innovation Days as Chairman of Industry, Research and Energy Committee, and it's my 3rd year in a row. And I would like to thank Commissioner Gabriel and show my appreciation for her work, to congratulate for all the achievements until now. And of course, I'm sure that the strategic planning 2025-2027 will be also a success. Launching the strategic Horizon Europe strategic planning for the coming period comes in a time with great challenges. Learning lessons from the pandemic, our economy recovering from it, advancing in our climate change ambitions, facing an energy crisis already since last year and exacerbated after the illegal invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and last but not least, of course, facing the war in Ukraine. We overcome all these challenges by becoming resilient, and I believe that the strategic planning for Horizon should be about this, because I believe we can all agree that we need research and innovation to prevail in this endeavor. And this is something that was also supported by the citizens in the survey that you just presented us. We need to find ways of improving this and provide support for firms that are ready to innovate and turn research and development into solutions. Energy is a big debate now. We have still a long path to deliver on a resilient energy sector, but we also need to take into account that our journey has started with our climate goals. And the green transition was number 1 in your survey. I believe it will remain the most important objective to achieve with the help of research and innovation. We have our climate goals. We are working now on a framework that will help us to reach these goals with long-term commitments and investments, but we need progress on the research side to know on what to invest, and we need breakthrough innovation and solutions ready for the market. Because innovation and research into the energy sector touches energy infrastructure, from wind turbines and transmission lines to nuclear reactors and hydropower, from gas to hydrogen, carbon and capture and storage, the need for a connected modern energy grid that also represents a crucial element to making our energy sector more resilient. Therefore, with the aim to achieve our climate and energy goals and to enhance innovation, sustainability and growth, remaining competitive worldwide, the Union needs an up-to-date investment into the energy transition and climate mitigation. Because our committee is not only about research and energy, but it's also a lot about industry and digitalization, I also like, in the end of my intervention, to highlight the digital transition as a key challenge for the final phase of Horizon. Every day we experience how digital tools have changed our workplaces, public services, education and healthcare systems, and we learn more about the potential of a new generation of technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain and the metaverse. The Horizon program is key for the European Union's ability to harness these tools and use them to drive our growth and competitiveness. And of course, the role of digital is also important in responding to energy crisis. The climate crisis already presented a challenge for our energy system, but now, as I said, with the war in Ukraine, the crisis is bigger. We need autonomous and resilient energy sources, but we also need to find ways of using our energy more efficiently. And here the digital transition and the digital solutions are crucial and extremely important. I'm looking forward to work at the same excellent way with the European Commission, with Madam Commissioner Maria Gabriel, with her team in the European Commission. I'm sure that my colleagues from the Parliament, from ITRE committee, but also from other committees could bring valuable added values. And of course, beside energy, beside digitalization, beside green transition, Maria Gabriel just mentioned other areas where we can concentrate more. I'm also very attached to the health area because I studied medicine. I'm the rapporteur of the health program of the European Parliament, and also to beat cancer, to implement European beating cancer plan, but also to be more prepared for future pandemic crisis or different health crises. We need research and innovation. The implementation report and also the strategic planning for the coming years, I'm sure, will contribute to our long-term response to the big challenges that we are facing now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bușoi. You have mentioned many of the priorities that have to be taken into account indeed. And now I turn to Mrs. Vildová, who is Deputy Minister for Higher Education, Science and Research in the Czech Republic, holding the EU presidency. Mrs. Vildová, from your point of view, what are the main challenges that we should look at when preparing the strategic plan?
Dear Madam Commissioner, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'm very pleased to address you today at the 4th edition of the Research and Innovation Days and on the occasion of launching the strategic plan reflections about the key challenges to be addressed in the second part of the Horizon Europe implementation. I am very thankful for all the words and all the sentences we have heard a few minutes ago from Madam Commissioner and from the colleague from Parliament. We are already halfway through the first strategic plan and we must already start thinking about the future. Therefore, it is of utmost importance to reflect on where the strategic orientation of research and innovation priorities and investment should be directed in the period 2025 and 27. During the first years of Horizon Europe, we have learned many lessons. As it was already meant in the speeches before, we have experienced the pandemic and its sought consequences. We have been experiencing war and aggression in Europe. We have also been dealing with grand societal challenges such as cybersecurity, green transition, or digital transformation of our economy. Taking into account of these systemic shocks, we must aim towards strengthening the resilience of the EU while enforcing the security and open strategic autonomy of Europe. That's why this is the topic I would like to focus on in my contribution today. Luckily, when it comes to the open strategic autonomy, we don't start from the scratch. We can already build our priorities and actions on the global approach strategy, choosing our international partners carefully, ensuring reciprocity, level playing field, and respecting international rules and fundamental EU values at the same time. However, the complex geographical situation has made these pressing issues even more relevant. We must think how to protect the European research area against foreign interference. We have already recognized how important it is to watch very carefully whether our common values and principles are shared by non-EU partners in international cooperation. Having said that, I would like to stress that we have to go even further. We should take the current situation as an impulse to be more determined in protecting European research and innovation in strategic areas, such as cybersecurity, climate change, space or energy, just to name a few. We feel more than ever before the need for a faster green energy transition and the diversification of our key supply chains in digital technologies while supporting our technological sovereignty. To conclude, Europe will become more resilient and secure if we support the investments in new technologies and the twin transition in particular. And if we harmonize this approach with other policy-making areas, such as the EU common foreign and the EU security policies. Through the right targeting of investment into research and innovation, we can contribute to the mitigation of our damaging dependencies on foreign supply chains and strengthen the resilience of the EU as a whole. I stop here and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Vildova. Thanks to both of you. Now, Mrs. Commissioner, I'm turning back to you. We've heard about digital transition with Mr. Bushoi, about security and open strategic autonomy with Mrs. Vildova. What would be the main challenges that you would see for the next 3 years for the strategic plan?
Well, I think that since the beginning we said that we are here to listen, and I would like to say thank you very much for your suggestions, for your idea, for your support. Dear Christian, dear Radka, I think that that's really important for all our participants to assure them that we'll continue to listen to you. On the other side, when I see just the first reactions, I must say that, dear Julian, we were so motivated to have a good first strategic plan that now actually we can see already with the first suggestions that we have a very solid base. So we can see that again, green transition, digital transition, health will be there. But of course now we need to think more often on innovation, on energy, the geopolitical context, and that was said today. So I think that yes, our exchanges today are the first step. And that's what I would like to insist. That is the first step in the co-design process of the next strategic plan. What I would like to announce, and that will be the end of the panel, is that very soon we'll launch a public online consultation where every one of you will have an opportunity to share your views on the new strategic plan. And this public consultation will begin in November, and it will remain open for 3 months. So I think that will be this very crucial moment where you can share what are the challenges that you'd like to see as a top priority in our agenda and how to tackle the solutions for those challenges. At the same time, to help us to identify cross-cluster complementarities and to see how together we can orient the new strategic plan. So I think that's my final message. Stay tuned for the launch of this public consultation, and at the same time, by November and before the month of November, don't hesitate to share the news across your networks because your opinion matters, and let's build together again the second strategic plan together, because for me, that's the only one chance if you'd like to succeed. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Commissioner. Thank you, dear speakers. It is indeed word of the session, I would say, co-creation, co-design, listening to you. So we are looking forward to hearing from the stakeholders and the citizens during the public consultation. We've seen that the green transition was the main concern, but there are many other ones that we discussed during the session. Now we will have a short video on sustainability, and stay tuned because our Acting Director General, Mrs. Razzo, will come for a concluding word right after the video.
So welcome back, everyone, to this final word on European Research and Innovation Days 2022. Day one. It's only day one now. We have more tomorrow. Today was 40 different sessions. My head is spinning. Signe Razzo, acting DG at RTD. Couple of quick highlights, please.
Well, Chris, it was really amazing first day.
Yep.
Exciting discussions in all the sessions. Let me just highlight first the importance of debating the European strategic autonomy and also discussing how the European Green Deal will help deliver EU strategic autonomy, including in areas such as energy, food and raw materials. Also, what we have learned from the recent crisis, namely how to reduce our dependencies, how research and innovation helps to build our future.
It's seizing on crisis and making it an opportunity, isn't it?
Yes, and the opportunity will be to become more sustainable,
Yep.
Also more digital, more inclusive and more resilient.
Absolutely. And yeah, the strategic plan was quite interesting. I mean, of hearing from MEP Christian Bouchoy about how it is a lot of different issues, but also in treating cancer, in beating cancer. And we need the know-how to do that. And that's what research and innovation is all about. Right?
Well, indeed. And that's why we need you all to participate also in the, also what, as Commissioner Gabriel concluded, highlighting that now, very soon, we will have the public consultation.
That's right, in November.
In November.
Yep.
So it will be the possibility for all, for the people, for the stakeholders, for the member states. And today already, during these discussions, it was very, very good to see the commitment of all European institutions, the Commission, European Parliament and the Council supporting each other in this important endeavour.
Well, that wraps up day one. Signe, I think, unless you have anything else to add, I think this is it, right?
Well, I still have a few.
You do? Okay. Okay.
A couple of things.
Quickly.
I think it was great to discuss the European Innovation Agenda with all these sessions, but also to discover the winner of the first industry award.
Yes.
Working on recycling high-quality raw materials on silicon and silver. So let me congratulate again the winner, RAMP PV, and
RAMP
also
PV.
all the others, the finalists.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and today comes to an end, but this is not over. There is a platform, as you can see right in front of you, on your screen as you're watching this, and there's plenty going on after that. There are all these village houses to visit. There are policy officers you would probably like to meet. You just have to book it. for tomorrow, or perhaps even later today, if that's possible, also with other participants and speakers. So there is a lot of interaction there, a lot of engagement that is important to do today and tomorrow during those 2 days. Networking is a very important part of this, connecting you all together as we put our heads together to deal with the challenges ahead. Hashtag RIDaysEU, RIDaysEU for anything that you saw or heard that was really great you'd like to cast wider. I'm seeing like lots of it online, and I'm retweeting some of that stuff myself. Tomorrow, 9 CET sharp, we start with a whole series of more sessions and platforms, power of culture, education, mayors with a mission, lots of things going on. Let's look forward to that. We'll be back together, Signe, to talk about that.
See you all tomorrow. And have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thank you all.